Please subscribe and you can download this code from description below. Visual Studio 2008 is quite an old version, and Python support has evolved over the years. However, if you're still using it and need to set up tabs as spaces for Python code, here's a tutorial on how to do that. Step 1. Open your Python project in Visual Studio 2008. Assuming you have a Python project open in Visual Studio 2008, navigate to the Python source code files you want to configure for tabs as spaces. Step 2. Access the Options menu. In Visual Studio 2008, you can set the options for your Python code formatting by going to the Tools menu, and then select Options. Step 3. Configure tabs as spaces. In the Options dialog, expand the Python Tools node in the left-hand menu. If you don't see this, it might be because you need to install the Python Tools for Visual Studio extension first. Once you have it installed, the Python Tools node should appear. Under Python Tools, click on Editor. In the Editor settings, you should see a sub-item called Tabs. Click on it. Here, you can set your preferred tab behavior. To use tabs as spaces, set the tab size to the number of spaces you want to use for each tab. Usually, this is set to 4 spaces, which is a common convention in Python. Make sure the Insert Spaces checkbox is selected. For example, to set 4 spaces per tab, which is the Python PEP 8 convention, you would set tab size to 4 and ensure Insert Spaces is checked. Step 4. Apply and save changes. After you've configured the tabs as spaces settings, click OK to apply the changes and close the Options dialog. Step 5. Verify the configuration. To make sure your settings are applied correctly, open a Python source file within your project. Create a new Python file if you don't have one yet. In this Python file, try using the Tab key to indent code. You should notice that when you press Tab, spaces are inserted instead. Here's a simple Python code example with tabs as spaces configured. You'll see that there are 4 spaces for each level of indentation. That's it. You've successfully configured tabs as spaces for your Python code in Visual Studio 2008. Please note that Visual Studio 2008 is quite outdated, and it's recommended to consider using a more recent code editor or IDE for Python development for better features and support. ChatGPT